I don't have one client that I don't like personally. Consistency. It's more important than anything. It's more important than your genetics. It's more important than how much you have to lose. It's more important than anything else. Just show up. The basic stuff is what really works. When you go into a gym like 19th Street Gym, where you got a lot more hardcore guys in there, they're just doing the same stuff over and over again. Consistency. Every meal, lean protein, whatever source you get it from, and vegetables. It's hard to go wrong with that. You got to become like really good at just being boring, doing the same thing with little progressions here and there, tracking it, and that's what works. Year after year, they're getting physical. Some of these people, I've been with them for 10 years, and you see their cholesterol numbers drop as they get older. You see their blood pressure drop as they get older. All these things that should be getting worse is getting better and better, and it's fitness and diet related.
Today in studio I have someone very special that I think if I invited Joe Biden, he will come before this guy. It was very difficult to have him here because he's very busy. And but finally I'm very excited and thrilled to have Cisco in my room. He is very, very busy professional. I would say maybe even busier than me. And I really admire his work, and we don't talk almost at all. This is exciting for me. And then I hope we're going to share some valuable information for others. And I really admire his work. Again, I see him with clients, how focused and how good he is, and just happy to Cisco. Welcome to
Thank you.
This is Core Values by Alex.
Core Values. Okay, thank you, Alex.
You're welcome. Please tell me something about your fitness journey and how you end up in fitness, and I would like to hear that.
Well, so I grew up, I was an athlete. I was a swimmer, played basketball a lot, but my real sport was swimming. I swam in the beginning of my college career. And then after college, I wound up in New York, and I was very young. I think I was 23 or 23. I was had been waiting tables and bartending, and not really sure what I was going to do in New York. I worked out, like crazy. It's all I ever did besides work. And so I was at a bar that I was working at, and two guys came in who were clearly gym guys, big guys with tank tops on and stuff. And
when was that again?
This is probably 2003, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right around 2003. So anyways, these two guys are sitting there talking, and I'm listening to their conversation as I'm serving them, and realize that they're trainers. And I just kind of asked them, I was like, well, how, is it a good job? Can you make a good living? And, they were talking about making much more money than I made as a bartender, or I thought I'd ever make in the city. And so I had asked one of them if there's a possibility I could get a job. And he saw that I worked out a lot, and he, I guess, liked me. And he said, yeah, he was happened to be the gym manager of Crunch Fitness over on in the East Village, so on Lafayette or wherever it is. It was one of the big workout clubs back then in the city. And so I think it was like a Thursday, and he's like, come in on Monday and we'll get you started. So I'm so excited. The whole weekend I'm like calling my dad. I'm telling him I got this new job. I'm going to become a trainer, make all this money. And so I come in on Monday, and they said he was not there. And so I'm devastated, just thinking that he was, blowing smoke up my ass and telling me a story. Turns out, I would find out later, he just actually forgot he was going on vacation and he was away that week. But I was so bummed out, so I immediately went and got the Village Voice, which tell you how long ago this is, that the Village Voice was still a paper where you looked for jobs. And I saw that they had a job for trainers at David Barton Gym. Had no idea what David Barton Gym was. So I walk over there, and I have really no experience training. I just work out a lot. And Derek, who was the manager there, happened to, I guess, like the way I looked, and he hired me. And that was my start. David Barton Gym, no experience really, no real training experience at all. They would get me my first training certification, and that's how I got going.
For how long you were in?
I was in David Barton I got fired from David Barton. I was in David Barton for probably maybe a year. Yeah, about a year.
Oh, a year. Okay.
About a year, yeah. Maybe somewhere around there.
Why did you get fired?
So I had this client, Arlene, who I was busy. I was the busiest trainer in the gym. pretty quickly. And I was probably doing about 40 sessions a week as a gym trainer, which is a decent amount. And this one trainer had said, well, why don't this one client of mine had said, why don't I pay you directly instead of paying the gym? And I was like, okay. And so we started this little thing where I would see her, and she'd have her yoga mat set out because we would do abs in the beginning, and she'd like have $100 bill or whatever she was paying me underneath that, and I like take it really like slyly and put it in my pocket. And sure enough, obviously David Barton or somebody there finds out that this woman is no longer buying packages, and he could not have been more fair to me. He took me aside and he said, you can either be the top trainer here or you can be a private trainer. And I asked him for 24 hours to think about it, and when I came back I said I want to try to be a private client, and that's basically how I got fired or asked to leave.
Right. So you became a private trainer.
Private trainer. Yes, I said private client.
That was a long time ago, right?
Yeah, 2000, maybe 4, somewhere around there.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
So you're in the fitness industry for like almost 20 years.
Been out here for a long time.
All right, that's cool. All right, so that's pretty good. I want to ask you now. So you combine. You're very diverse trainer. You do you do lifting, you do body weight stuff, you do boxing, you do a lot of cardio, high intensity. If someone come to you and ask, okay, Cisco, I want to have really like amazing body. Like I want to lose like 10 pounds, and I want of body fat. I want to gain probably 7 to 8 pounds of muscle. I just want to be lean, look great, like New York look. Mm-hmm. So what would be your recommendation when it comes to your approach to training program?
So I would say, and I use a lot of the same. I mean, I actually think fitness is much easier than some people make it. And I use a lot of the same methods for all my clients. Like you tweak a little things here and there to take into consideration age and ability and such. But I really think there's some like basic tenets. So if somebody wants to lose 10 pounds, get a little more, fit, whatever that even means, I would say, first thing I'm going to teach somebody is I'm going to teach them how to do proper lifting. I think strength training, just good old-fashioned strength training, is really kind of the best tool that we as trainers have, or one of the best tools for sure. And clients, regardless of age, always could use more muscle. And I don't mean getting big and jacked. I mean just more muscle so they can continue to be ambulatory as they get older, continue to just do like regular life functions, so more muscle. So I teach people very safe, form-driven, standard resistance training. Second thing that I get everybody to do is cardiovascular work. I was a competitive cyclist for a long time, so I come from a background of endurance work, meaning like steady state kind of even keel, heart rate based disciplines in endurance exercise. So whether it's a treadmill or the spin bike or whatever they're going to do, they're going to have a heart rate, and they're going to have heart rate monitor on. They're going to have some idea of what their zones are. They're going to stay aerobic, and they're going to pair that with the strength training that we do. And then I'm not a nutritionist. I don't give I don't give nutrition plans or anything, but I obviously I guide my clients, and I tell them, like, listen, the stuff we're going to do in the gym, between the cardio work you're going to do on your own and the strength training you're going to do with me, is going to work. As long as you show up, as long as you keep coming, it's going to work. If you want that to be amplified many, many times over, we can start hitting your diet, and that will really show the results, much quicker. And at that point, I advocate for, low carbs. Some people do things like keto or Atkins, whatever it is. I just kind of tend to push people in that direction where you're going to lower the intake of carbohydrate. I stress, lean protein at many meals as you can, paired with some sort of vegetable. And that's it. It's pretty simple. You do those things and you keep showing up, it's going to work. And I've got a couple hundred before and after pictures of people to show. All you have to do is do that and keep being consistent. Nothing else, everything else will kind of fall into place.
What's the percentage of people who actually come to you and achieve results? They say
I have a pretty high percentage. Achieve results, because results is kind of a big spectrum. That's obviously.
What I want to talk about.
But achieve results, it's going to be, damn near 100%. That's the reason why they're paying me.
Right.
Yeah, obviously some results are better than others, but results 100%.
What is people's goals, like the most? Like what people want to do?
It's all pretty similar. I mean, trainers like us in a place like this, we're not usually getting competitive athletes. We're not getting, we're getting many of the same type of clients, which are usually like usually professionals in New York who, have busy jobs and are families, and New York City is obviously, you're incredibly busy all the time. So we're trying to cram in as much fitness as we can in as little time. And it's, everybody's the same thing. They want to tone up. Everybody wants to be leaner. I think at this point, everybody talks in the fashion of body fat, no longer just weighing a certain amount. So people talk about, getting their body fat down, getting a little muscle on there. It's all pretty similar. Men and women. I mean, in my experience, everybody's usually some combination of get a little muscle on and get leaner.
Okay. Boxing. You do a lot of boxing, right?
Yep.
Do you implement boxing with almost all of them to lose body fat? You just use specific clients for who actually want to do boxing?
So I got into boxing a little later. I was a competitive cyclist for a long time, and as I stopped racing, I had a great trainer named Jason Quick, and I started boxing with him. And next thing you know, I was sparring. I had the idea I was going to try to compete, but I was already pushing like 35, so I was a little old to really start competing. So I didn't, but I trained seriously, or what I thought was seriously, and then I had a bunch of other businesses that were fitness related or fitness adjacent that all had to do with boxing. So I became very comfortable teaching the boxing that I had learned to my clients. And what I learned is, I teach very specific form, competitive form boxing. So I have my people, they're not going to get in the ring and fight, but they're going to sure as hell look like they could. And what I found is that people love it. What it's good for, the exercise kind of on the total plan is that it's women really kind of take to it because it's I feel like women have come from more of a dancing background than men. Boxing is a lot of dancing. You're doing repetitive motions over and over again until they just become fluid. And I find that my female clients just take to it better and are better at it. So it's fun. But the other thing is it really is great for toning without bulking. I hate to say something so kind of cliche like that, but women really can do a lot with their upper bodies and their shoulders and their arms without worrying about putting on size. And that's one of the reasons why I use it a lot, other than the fact I love it. And there's nothing better than you've seen me training when somebody starts hitting really hard and everybody in the gym is looking at them, and clients eat that up. They love it. So
yeah, I had a chance once to see your client boxing, so I used my phone to
Bridget,
to take
she's
a
good.
video. She's great. She's strong and great. What do you think the girls love boxing? Is there something behind it, that they want to kind of express that negative energy? Or
I don't know. I don't want to speak for them too much, but I definitely think number one, it's fun. It's really fun, and I think that I have an ability to teach people the more technical parts of the sport, or at least what I know of the sport, and you'll see how quickly they can then look around and see somebody else in the gym who might be boxing and see how, what they're doing is much more fitness based. They're just kind of moving around and punching, whereas what we're doing has some kind of root in the real competitive aspect of the sport. And then they kind of feel like they're they're in the club because they can do it better than other people. So that's a fun part of it. And you just feel like a badass when you're putting together 4-punch combinations that look good and they're hard. It's like an addictive feeling for sure.
Cool. What do you think is the most important when it comes to fitness goals, achieving goals for our clients?
Easy.
So.
That's I have the answer. I don't want to hear what other trainers say. This is the answer. Consistency. It's more important than anything. It's more important than your genetics. It's more important than how much you have to lose. It's more important than anything else. Just show up. The more consistent you are, keep coming. It doesn't matter if you hate it. It doesn't matter if you think it's not working. The people who continue to come, I can rank them down the list of my client list, and it's top heavy with people who just show up all of the time.
How do you make your clients come here on a consistent basis?
I I was going to say I bill them when they don't show up, but no, I mean, that's a big question of like, why are some trainers successful and others aren't? Getting your people motivated, getting them excited about what this is, that's the job. I can get anybody in for one workout and make them have a great workout, but if I don't like inspire them to see what is possible by continuing to come, continuing to pay me, this doesn't work. So, what it is that makes somebody keep coming back is what it is that makes some trainers hard to get sessions with, and other ones, do 10 sessions a week.
Right. I totally get that. Do you think there is a lot of relationship between clients and trainers that has to be created for people to come back, to feel comfortable, to feel like some of them like your friends? Do you think is that very important for trainers to build that?
So in my business, it's as important as anything else. I would consider, I don't have one client that I don't like personally. I don't have one client that I dread training. I mean, I remember when I was a gym trainer, there'd be people I'd be like, oh man, I got to go deal with this. And, and if you got a couple of those in the day, it kind of ruins your whole day because you're thinking about how much you don't want to go see this person. There's not one person that I don't like. It's like hanging out with a friend, and many of them really are friends. I hang out with my clients all the time. Like all the time. And I think that's a big part of being a successful trainer, is like I am a part of these people's lives. Now you have to balance that when you're hanging out with people. You can't be a trainer all the time, but you can't not be a trainer as well. So I try like people I follow on Instagram, I try not to put like frowny faces when they put up a picture of a cake or something they're eating and be a pain in the ass. But when I'm hanging out with people, I was, anecdotal story, I was in one of my clients' houses in the Hamptons, and we had been out, we'd gone out, we'd been drinking, and then we get home, and I was staying with two clients, and another one of my clients came with me. So I had three clients with me. And they brought out like ice cream and chocolate chip cookies, and it's 10:30 at night. And now I was like, I don't approve of this, and I didn't have any, but I'm not going to sit there and argue with them. You got to be friends and not be too much of a pain in the ass like that. But being friends with your clients is a large part of what I think makes a successful trainer.
Cool. So I would like to know what motivates you.
Money, for sure. Money motivates me. I'm competitive, so I like trying to be the busiest client, or being the busiest trainer in a gym. As I've gotten older, I don't have as many competitive outlets, so like that's a way to be competitive, is to work more, which probably borders on some workaholism. But yeah, I mean, I'm competitive. I'm money motivated. I like that my job. One of the good things about being a trainer is that the things that make you more money are also the things that do good things for your clients. So the harder that we push and the harder that we strive to make higher incomes, it's really kind of moving directly with the results we see with our clients. So we make more money as we help people, which I guess that's a good thing.
That's great. Tell me, please, if I ask you about like where is your confidence coming from, and where is your insecurity come from too?
Confidence comes from thousands and thousands and thousands of hours training. I've just done it enough now where like it's my space. I think you can liken it to anybody who has just done something so often. I saw I was listening to a podcast or something. Oh, it was a podcast it was Howard Stern had Bruce Springsteen on there. And Bruce Springsteen was talking about like the first time that he went and auditioned for this big record producer. And he had to like ride a bus there. He was like a young unknown artist, ride a bus there, has his guitar. And then when he sits down in the studio with this big shot from whatever record company it was, the guy's basically like, play me a song. And Bruce gets on there and starts playing, and obviously the rest is history. He must have done really well. But Howard asks him, like, well, weren't you nervous? And he's like, yeah, I was nervous when I was like riding over there and stuff. But once I started singing, he's like, I've done this thousands and thousands and thousands of hours in front of people cheering. And like, he's like, I'm just doing what I do. So the confidence with training people just comes from having done it so often. I don't think there's anything anybody could throw at me, that I would not have dealt with somewhere or have an idea how to deal with. And so that becomes much easier on the job like that. Insecurities, getting old in this industry, it's like a young man's industry. I'm 47, so I've been pushing it for a while. Start to feel all the aches and pains. Like I still do, I work out a lot. I do jiu-jitsu, and like I'm constantly beat up and something hurts and I can't do a pull-up because my elbow hurts or whatever. That's definitely an insecurity. So yeah, getting older in this business is good in that it makes you probably more experienced, but bad in that it can't go on forever. I don't think, at least doing the sessions that you and I do.
Right. What is your vision for next 3 years? Do you have a vision when it comes to your job?
Yes. Well, I've kind of ventured out into a side business. I've throughout the whole time I've done this, I've done a bunch of side businesses that are all fitness adjacent and had varying levels of success with all of them. But right before the pandemic, I started designing home gym spaces, and I happened to get lucky because I started it right before the pandemic. And then when the pandemic happened, obviously home gyms became a big thing, and I was the guy at that point. So I've done 15 gyms. Actually, I've done just under that. I've done 13 gyms in high income areas. So I've done gyms in the Hamptons, a bunch of them in the Hamptons. I've done some in Silicon Valley, done some in Nantucket, and a couple in Manhattan. So all kind of high end home gyms, and so that's kind of been the side business, and it's picking up momentum every year. And I'm hoping to start kind of transitioning into that, and I can lessen the load somewhat on the clients because. One thing in this business is personal training pays, but for it to pay, you got to be in the gym.
Right.
And I've always relied heavily on it because it does pay really well, but at the expense of some other things. And so I'm hoping to be able to not just maintain my gym clients, the numbers that I do now. I'm hoping to kind of move over into the home gym design business more.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's probably the next couple of years.
Okay. What are some common misconceptions about fitness that you often encounter, and what do you want to say about that?
So misconceptions. I mean, we hear all kinds of stuff. I always make the joke like my clients will come to me with something, and immediately I'm like, okay, what magazine did you read that out of? So the big ones. I mean, so this might be. Every trainer has a different way of training. Some of the things that I really kind of hate to hear about are HIIT training, high intensity interval training. I kind of just think that's a joke.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, high intensity interval training is just one part of most athletic programs. I come from a cycling background, and high intensity anaerobic intervals was just one of the tools we had at our disposal amongst others, like endurance training, base building, sprint training. So the idea that is just one way that you train it just never really meshed to me. That's just one tool that you can use. I would never tell a client to only do high intensity interval trainings at the expense of other things like regular strength training or cardiovascular work. So that's one thing that I'm I roll my eyes at a little. What other things? I mean, there's always some new diet or new fad. I make the joke that if Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't do it, then we're not going to do it. So just kind of stick to the basics. You've been doing this a long time. The basic stuff is what really works. When you go into a gym like 19th Street Gym, where you got a lot more hardcore guys in there, they're just doing the same stuff over and over again. Consistency. You got to become really good at just being boring, doing the same thing with little progressions here and there, tracking it, and that's what works.
How do you? I am totally with you on this. I agree. I cannot agree more when it comes to this. To do boring things and over and over again. I mean, it's not just for fitness. It's for a lot of this. Is I had someone a couple of days ago came here. He was like, it's part of entertainment. People just want to be entertained, and I totally agree. But go ahead. But I wanted to ask you because how do you approach people who come to you? Like how do you approach this problem if you have a client who come to you and say, look, Cisco, I'm so bored by doing this, because we all have clients like this. I'm so bored by doing same and over again. How do you approach that?
Well, I don't really have that problem, I gotta say.
Okay.
I number one thing about being like a busy private trainer is that we pick and choose our clients. If you don't want to do what I'm advocating for you, then I'm not the right trainer for you.
Yep.
And also when you have a really good reputation as being somebody who can motivate and get people in shape, they're coming to you and you're saying, listen, you're coming to me, this is what I do, this is how I do it. So we're going to do the same thing over again. You're going to get good at it, you're going to get better at it, and then you're going to see the results from that. But the thing is this, if you really make somebody do the same movements over and over again, as they get better and they see the improvement, usually in terms of more weight that they're moving or more reps that they're doing or whatever it is, they also see an improvement in their body. And once they see an improvement in their body, they don't care if it's boring. It's not boring all of a sudden because it's fixing them or it's changing them. And that's how I've kind of dealt with that. You know, I haven't had somebody say to me, I'm bored with this, and then I have the feeling that I have to like change it up to keep them entertained.
All right. Nutrition, huge part.
Yep.
You said you're not, of course, we're not nutritionists, we're not doctors here, but like we all give some guidance, you know,
lot.
like what is your let's say, what's your approach when it comes to nutrition? Yep. You mentioned some, but if your client asks you, okay, Cisco, tell me one example, one day, what should I eat? Like, what do you answer?
I kind of deal with nutrition the same way. I get people into the workout parts for it first. I want them to learn how to use a heart rate monitor and do their aerobic work, and then learn how to do the strength training. And then as soon as we get going, I start kind of dropping little things about fitness. I tell them I'm not writing them a diet plan. I don't even know how to do that. We're not tracking calories. That's somebody else's job. But we're going to start doing these things. And the first thing is I usually want them to implement some sort of intermittent fasting time schedule. Don't start eating until this time. Stop eating after that time. And just that's your window in the day. And more so just because it's like good behavior. It's again getting them to start doing something over and over again. I don't eat till 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or whatever time it is. It doesn't work for everybody, but for the people that it does, it's giving them consistency in their training that I think mirrors what they're going to be doing in the gym, and that helps. Then I tell them portion control is one of the easiest ways to eat better. You know, here, no matter where we go, they usually dump way more than you really need on. Start thinking about portion control. When you go and you get a burrito at Chipotle, ask for, a small amount of rice, light rice or whatever it is, but start thinking about that, cutting portions in half. It's real easy, and it's easy for us, because what I don't ever want is for somebody to be like, all right, you're going to write me this plan out. I don't want more work. So I'm trying to tell them things that they can implement right away. Just whatever you're going to eat, fine, cut it in half. As we get going more, though, I start giving things like alcohol. Clearly, it's not good. I drink, so I'm not going to advocate to somebody, you stop drinking if drinking is part of your life, but you can drink better for fitness results. And so beer and wine are out. If you're going to drink spirits, drink, tequila on the rocks, drink vodka on the rocks, no mixers.
How many times per week?
Well, I mean, that's not, I'm not going to tell somebody, but obviously, more is worse for your training results and and for all of the training related things. But whatever it is, you're going to drink this way. You're going to drink, things that are not not a bunch of sugar on top of whatever you're already drinking. So that's how I deal with drinking. What else? And then food. I'm like, listen, like if you let's just assume this person eats meat every meal. Lean protein, whatever source you get it from, and vegetables. It's hard to go wrong with that. If you're eating really healthy, lean meat and vegetables, you can eat as much as you want all day long. Well, not all day long, in your intermittent fasting period, and you're going to lose weight. You're going to lose weight quickly. You're going to feel better, and all your blood, like every one of my clients who starts eating like this and working out, year after year, they're getting physical. Some of these people, I've been with them for 10 years, and you see their cholesterol numbers drop as they get older. You see their blood pressure drop as they get older. All these things that should be getting worse is getting better, and it's fitness and diet related. That's my regular like kind of diet spiel that I give people.
Okay, so you're believing in like there is motivation and there is a system that you actually, what are you actually doing with people? It's a system. You tell them, okay, this is what it takes. It's going to be boring. It's going to be very, you know, it's going to be the same, competitive.
Yep.
It's going to be repetitive. Every day will be pretty much the same. So you believe more in system than like a short motivation. Can you explain that? Like the difference between, because some people come here and say have a motivation for a very short period of time, like there's some event probably like a couple of months from now,
whatever, yeah,
which is a huge, maybe the biggest motivation for people.
So again, I don't think with these, all of these things have to be separated. So I've had plenty of people who come to me for weddings. I've had plenty of people come to me because they're going to have a wedding, whether
and
it's
they stayed
years,
yeah,
many. I mean, I have a lot of that. Now I also have some who did the wedding and then they got out. That's fewer, but it happens as well. Do I think that like using some short-term event, like I've had a lot of people, like I have a 10-year high school reunion or something, and they want to get in shape for it. Is that a bad thing? No, because I'm still going to teach them and implement them my system. So whether I teach them and implement them my system to get going for this first goal or just for better general health, it doesn't matter. We're still kind of going in the same direction. So the idea is to get them in the door and get them in buying into my system, and if there's a short-term treat that gets them there quicker, that's fine. If not, that's fine as well.
Okay, cool. You have someone came to you and said, look, I want to lose body fat. That's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
Body fat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care about building muscle. It's a girl. Like,
okay.
I don't want to get bulky.
Hear that all the time.
And ask you this question. So I would like to do only one kind of type of workout, either cardio, like no matter what you tell her to do, like endurance training, whatever, or lifting weights. So, and her question is like, what is better for me to do? Like either cardio or lifting weights.
So you're making me pick is what you're doing.
Exactly. So you have to pick one thing.
So this is not necessarily my plan, but if I had to just say one of these two things, you're going to do cardio workouts and you're going to do strength training workouts. Okay, I have one more question. Are you going to change your diet correctly regardless of whether you're doing cardio or strength training?
That's a great question, because without it, there is no way no one's going to achieve any results, because that's yes, the change happens and the person eats the same almost every day.
Okay, so the diet is dialed in. The diet is dialed in. Then I'm going to say you're going to diet and strength train.
Right. Okay. I needed to ask you this question because every trainer who sits here, I ask same question.
Yeah, no, I believe in strength training above everything else.
All right. So you believe in strength training and mind. When I say mind, that's like everything else we just talked about, like being able to be consistent. That's probably it's a number one.
That's number one.
Like consistency, number one, and then mind being able to I mean, that's consistency, that mind
being able
to,
I agree, your mindset and being able to just do it over and over again is they're kind of folded into the same thing.
And then when it comes to workout, strength training, and then combine with, of course the ideal is to combine strength training with cardio, like, and
that is my system. Correct. For sure.
Do you combine cardio in your sessions?
No,
or you want to do separate?
Absolutely not. That's one thing that I really don't like when I see that is there's trainers who'll have
this was a great question.
Yeah, there's trainers who you'll see like in between sets, maybe they're doing a press or something, and then in between sets they have their clients like jump on stuff and do cardio stuff in between, and I'm like dumbfounded by that. Your cardio workout is a cardio workout, so you do it on its own because you're doing a good cardio workout. Your strength training workout is a strength training workout, so you do it on your own. Your rest session in a strength training workout is when you're resting so that you can do the absolute best that you need to do on that next set, given whatever the rep range and the weight is. If you're doing jumping jacks or higher interval training in the middle of that, you're negating what you're about to do. And so it's kind of like you're not getting a good strength or cardiovascular workout. So those are completely separate things for me. Now you can do like some of the aerobic training, which is low intensity, steady state aerobic work. You can do that on the same day that you do a workout because it's not stressing fast twitch muscle fibers. It's much more demand on the cardiovascular system than the musculature. So you can do those on the same days. given that, you know, you have enough time. But yeah, definitely not combining those in a workout.
Okay. Do you recommend your clients to do any mind work besides this?
No, I don't. I mean, I've been saying I'm going to start meditating for years now, and I haven't done it. It's something I'd like to do, but just like with yoga, I haven't started. So I wouldn't push something on my clients, even if I know it's excellent. Other than
do you believe it's good for them?
Yes, yeah, 100%. I don't have any expertise, so I'm not going to tell them to start doing something. So has nothing to do with whether I think, you know, meditation and other mindful practices are good or not. It's just I don't have enough familiarity with them to be any sort of expert to tell somebody that's paying me what to do with them.
No, totally agree with that. Okay, cool. So you have a billboard. Someone gave you a billboard and say, Cisco, you have a chance to write something on this billboard, and it's for free. It's going to be in New York. It's going to be on Times Square. What would you write there and put it? So you can write whatever you want. It's not going to be your picture, not your body, just something to write, to share some kind of either knowledge or some message.
All right, well, I don't have the exact quote because you put me under pressure here, but I'm going to give you the idea of what the quote would have been.
That's the question.
The idea of this quote would be something around just how important tiny incremental improvements are. Day in, consistency, day in, day out, you get a little better and a little better and a little better and a little leaner and a little stronger and a little more motivated to continue with your fitness journey. And 5 years down the line, you look much different than all your friends. And it's just little incremental victories every day or every session that add up. And that's really the way you should live your fitness life, I believe. So it would be some shorter, more succinct version of that.
I totally agree on this. I just read an amazing book,
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits, but I also read the book. It's Compound Effect.
Yeah,
and actually it talks exactly about this. Yep. Like every single change, you have 1% better. I mean, they say every day. It doesn't need to be every day.
No, but just traveling in the right direction.
You're going to that direction.
Yep.
They say if you had an airplane that goes to New York.
Yep.
Like straight forward, and then you have another one that is like just a little bit to the side, and it's gonna end up
by the time they get to California.
It's gonna be a totally.
I have a client of mine who's very successful, and he constantly says something to the effect of the most compounding interest, or the compounding effect is the single strongest kind of effect we have. And if you can harness that for whatever it is you're after, you know, the odds that you'll get there are probably greatly improved. So
yeah, I love that. Cisco, is there anything you want to share with us that I didn't cover, or like you feel like you would like to tell people? What's your Instagram again?
Innervation Fitness. So it's
right. I know if someone calls you, I don't guarantee the free spot. It's going to be probably a waiting list.
But you can go on. There's a bunch of before and afters on there.
Correct.
You'll see a bunch of people having fun. What I would say, I mean, like, you know, if I'm talking to people to kind of convert them to fitness, is like anybody that I've had a relationship with as a trainer client, in that relationship, I've never had anybody who didn't like greatly enhance the quality of their life through this like journey. And there are people who love it, and there are people who still come to me every day and they're like, you know what, if I wouldn't have to meet you here and I wasn't paying you, I wouldn't come. But they still love it, and they love the effects that they're doing. They love the idea that this thing they thought was unobtainable, this, you know, like a body like yours or something, it actually is, or partly is. You just got to work for it. And when people see that, it changes everything.
Yeah, I had a trainer a couple of days ago who said a really good thing about fitness. He said, like, the fitness is the only thing in the world. I mean, I wouldn't agree if it's the only, but it's how matters. Like, it's about how much you put.
Yeah, how much
like
you work.
If you put inside, like if you put work and all the effort inside, you're getting exactly that much out of it.
It's awesome. Like, look, you're not going to become a professional bodybuilder or an Olympian, but you're going to look pretty damn good and feel good and be healthy. And like you said, it's just a matter of like how much you put in. It works.
Right. Cisco, thank you so much for
Yeah.
your insights. Thank you for your time and all of this information. I think we're gonna. I always say this: if I help one person, I'm gonna be super happy. But I'm sure we're gonna help so much more than that. Maybe I have you back in the future. This was great. Thank you again for your time, and I really appreciate your time and all information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.